Ali versus Foreman, Zaire 1974. England versus Germany, World Cup Final 1966. Cincinnati Reds versus Boston Red Sox, World Series Game 6 1975. Or Borg versus McEnroe, Wimbledon Final 1980. Today's tenor mouthpiece showdown is the saxophone equivalent of these epic matchups. And in just a second, you're going to get to choose your winner. In the red corner, arguably the most revered and sought-after tenor sax mouthpiece of all time, the classic Florida-era Supertone Master by Otto. And in the blue corner, legendary mouthpiece whisperer Theo Wanne's modern answer to the Florida Link, his gorgeous Lakshmi model. Now, I've been playing my USA version Florida Link for decades, and it's so versatile. From jazz to pop, I can do virtually any gig on it. Believe me, if there's such a thing as love that can exist between a man and a hunk of metal, this is it, guys. I love this mouthpiece, and I've never played any other mouthpiece that comes close to it. It's got warmth, but it still cuts through enough. It projects, but it spreads. It never closes up on me, no matter how much air I push through it, and it allows me to be endlessly creative with my sound. However, inspired by my recent Inner Circle interview with mouthpiece genius Theo Wanne, I did something I've never done before, and that's to seriously consider divorcing my beloved Florida Link for a younger and more beautiful model. I would never normally do this, as I'm not a mouthpiece tinkerer by nature, but Theo's obsessive knowledge of mouthpiece history, especially the vintage links as played by his heroes like Dexter Gordon, convinced me that if anyone on this planet could outdo my Florida Link, it would be him. His Lakshmi model is inspired by these vintage Supertone Masters, and what took me over the line was the claim on his website that it would outplay any vintage link. If your job was to convince me that you make a better mouthpiece than this, what would it be?
Yeah, the Lakshmi.
How do I ever give up this, because I love it so much?
Yeah, I mean, that was my specialty, right? I mean, literally, that's how I got my start, making custom versions of that. Literally, I made mouthpieces of that vintage, customized for Joshua Redman, Eric Alexander, Chris Potter, all these great guys who play auto link, and that's how I learned how to dial in and make the perfect link. And then the first one was the Gaia 1. And then kind of the newest version of that Gaia 1
Yeah.
is the Lakshmi.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's got that vintage, fat, lush, beautiful Dexter Gordon sound. And I bet today, if Dexter Gordon were alive, he'd be playing a Lakshmi.
So, let's find out, shall we? Let's get straight into the blind test, and afterwards I'll talk a little bit more about the two mouthpieces and offer my conclusions. So we've all watched a lot of mouthpiece comparison videos on YouTube, so I want to try and avoid some common pitfalls. I don't want you listening with your eyes, so you'll only see A or B on screen as those high quality audio clips play. And I'll be playing exactly the same thing on each mouthpiece, so you'll get a very clear comparison. I used a high quality AE8 ribbon mic going into a high-end Apogee audio interface, and there's no reverb or compression. I'm going to play some Lester Young on Stardust to represent some smoky, mellow, kind of balladeering. Some of Hank Mobley solo on I Should Care to represent some classic hard bop jazz. And Maceo Parker on Cold Sweat to represent some full-on funky pop stuff. At the end, just see if you prefer A or B, and we'll have our winner. A few quick notes about the test here then. Both mouthpieces are an 8-tip opening, and I used the same reed on each mouthpiece, which was a Boston Sax Shop Silver 3.5. Shout out to Jack Tyler and his awesome products. And the reed was new on, so not molded to either mouthpiece facing. I also flattened the back of the reed before switching. To make the test even more fair, I even used the same ligature, which was a Selmer 404 on both mouthpieces, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. All the settings and levels were identical for each sample, and I tried my best to stay in exactly the same place on the mic. So, before I do the big reveal, what's your expert verdict? Did you prefer A or B? In fact, I tell you what, I'm actually going to keep the suspense going for a little bit longer here and give you a few more little clips, a few more bonus clips for some direct comparison. So here's some subtone to compare. A straight C major scale. Four octave Gs. Some fast stuff for response. And finally, a few little phrases of play whatever I want, which can sometimes be useful to reveal what a mouthpiece makes you want to play. So it's make up your mind time. Did you prefer A or B? Or maybe you either can't tell much difference or like both equally. Anyway, whatever you think, I can now reveal that A was the Theo Wanne Lakshmi and B was the vintage Florida Link. Hope you're enjoying today's video. Real quick, did you know that 61% of you who are watching this video are not subscribed to my channel? Now, I make hundreds of videos to help the saxophone community, so if you want to do something nice for me, please just hit subscribe right now. Go on, if you're not subscribed, hit subscribe right now. Do it. That's one easy thing that you can do to really help me out and help me take this message to more and more sax players and make the world a better place. Okay, back with the video. So, full disclosure, I'm not really a massive authority on mouthpieces. You should check out excellent videos by people like SaxPy for that level of geekery. But let's just talk about each mouthpiece for a minute and then I'll present my own conclusions. This next segment is definitely for the gear geeks only, I'm afraid. So my link is a Supertone Master Florida USA model, dating from between 1967 and 1972, maybe 1970 or so, according to a quick glance by Theo. The USA stamped on the shank differentiates it from the earlier no USA model and the 50s double ring model, which has two lines close together on the shank. Collectively, they're called the Florida Supertone Masters because between about 1955 and 1972, the Babbitt factory where these mouthpieces were manufactured was located in Pompano Beach in Florida. The double ring STMs actually predated Florida, but who's counting? The links from this period have a large chamber, providing the body and warmth, and a rollover baffle, providing a bit of presence and a distinctive, pleasant buzz. The balance of that warmth and the whine is why these mouthpieces have been so cherished for jazz players throughout history. The side rails and tip rail are narrow, and the side walls concave, they go in. Theo created the Lakshmi to bring that classic Florida Link sound of his heroes like Dexter Gordon up to date. His magic sauce is the marriage of his encyclopedic knowledge of vintage mouthpieces with the modern space age proprietary design and production technology that can be used not only to create the designs he comes up with in his crazy creative brain, but to be able to make every mouthpiece exactly the same high quality and consistency. So like the Florida Links that inspired its creation, the Lakshmi has narrow side rails and tip rail, concave side walls and a large chamber, but that seems to be where the similarities end, to my eye. The window is longer with a squared off end, and the rollover baffle is much less rounded. Almost, it looks more like a step baffle, in fact. The floor of the mouthpiece then drops away into the main chamber, which is completely different from a link. Obviously, the beak and ridge are completely different to a link as well, and the bite plate, shank, finish, original ligature, and distinctive engraving bear no resemblance to a link. All Theo's mouthpieces are immaculately finished, exquisitely produced, and they really feel like something that you can love and cherish. Just holding this mouthpiece, you can really see why it's named after the Hindu god of beauty, fortune, and prosperity. On aesthetics alone, the glowing Lakshmi makes a vintage link look pretty drab. However, don't be too seduced by looks alone, because it's no coincidence that the Florida Links are widely regarded as one of the best tenor mouthpieces ever made. The Lakshmi comes with a cool pouch, instruction card, the reed protector, table protector thing, a screwdriver to adjust the ligature, and an attractive box. So, let's now talk about how these two mouthpieces compare back to back. Now, my own Florida Link needs no introduction as far as I'm concerned. You've all heard me play it for years on this channel, and I just can't get enough of it. But I was incredibly impressed with the Lakshmi. After a very brief adjustment to the way the air flowed and resisted, I found it absolutely effortless to blow. It seems to give a bit more contemporary bite than the Link and has just a bit more bark to it, although not at the expense of sacrificing warmth. Like my Link, it feels like the sort of mouthpiece you could do virtually any gig on. It's a real all-rounder. The baffle gives enough bite for a horn section, but the chamber gives the warmth you need for small jazz combos, and you can easily blend in a big band sax section, for example. A couple of small differences. The diameter of the Lakshmi shank was a teeny bit bigger than my Link, so I had to pack out my neck cork to get a snug fit. And I also found that the Lakshmi played a bit sharper than my Link. I had to back it off the cork quite a bit. The intonation of the mouthpiece is great. Overall, it's just a bit sharper than mine. Honestly, I've been blown away by the Lakshmi, but sorry Theo, I do have two gripes. Number one, you don't get a mouthpiece cap and no other cap fits. For a high-end, luxury, top-of-the-range mouthpiece, to my mind, it's inexcusable not having a mouthpiece cap included, and I'd be resentful and disgruntled to have to spend another $10 on a special cap after making my dream purchase, especially for the chunk of change you're going to lay out to get your hands on one of these. Secondly, I totally get the revolution behind the built-in ligature, and I appreciate that many people think it's awesome, but I'm sorry, Theo, I really don't like it at all. I hate the feel of the wheel. I don't like the way it looks and sticks up. Trying to line the reed up with it is fiddly and frustrating. Adjusting the horizontal position of it is fiddly and annoying, and you need the screwdriver. The tiny screws are easily lost. There's no spares. The reed plate can easily scratch the mouthpiece table if you don't have the protective strip in place like that. And it doesn't fit any normal mouthpiece cap. Sound-wise, I must admit I can't comment. I do know there are customizable options for plates and stuff. I just never got that far, I'm afraid. Now, let's not only throw the Lakshmi under the bus here for ligature, because despite it looking iconic and seeing all our heroes use it on countless album covers and photos, we all know that the standard STM ligature is generally regarded as a piece of crap and almost nobody uses it. I've been round the houses with licks, but when all's said and done, I don't think you can go wrong with the good old Selmer 404. It's classic, it looks classy and elegant, it fits both the Link and the Lakshmi, simple to use, reliable, and if you've got a Mark 6, apparently you can use the screws for your neck tenon in a fix. However sacrilegious, if I used a Lakshmi, I would definitely use a Selmer 404 lig with it, and as I mentioned earlier, that's the ligature I used on both mouthpieces for this video. So, before we discuss prices and final conclusions, one big point of comparison I wanted to touch on is that we're not really making a fair comparison here. I don't know a single person that plays a Florida Link that hasn't had it refaced. My Link has definitely been refaced and improved. This opens up the whole debate and the evolution of hand finishing, which Theo elegantly explained in our interview. By the way, you can get the link there or in the description to get a free trial for the Inner Circle membership and see the whole interview for yourself. It's amazing. Basically, you go to a store and you try 10 identical Theo mouthpieces and they will play exactly the same. His production process is so advanced that his machining is more accurate than anyone could ever do by hand, and this is in stark contrast to vintage links, which are all over the place in terms of consistency. It's literally just a lottery what you get. And if you don't spend a lot of money getting it refaced, it's likely that the mouthpiece will be all over the shop. In terms of consistency, the Lakshmi is in a completely different league, not even the same planet actually, and that is a huge plus. Price-wise, the Lakshmi is currently 555 quid on the UK Sax website or 775 bucks at Sweetwater in the States. Obviously, that's a chunk of change, but you're getting some phenomenal tech and R&D behind all of Theo's products. Now, the thing is, you'll easily spend 500 bucks to 1,000 bucks on a vintage Florida Link, sometimes more, and you have no idea what you're going to get. You might well need to spend even more money getting it refaced. It probably won't have a box, almost certainly won't have a ligature, and there's a good chance that you won't be able to try it first if you're getting it sent from somewhere. Honestly, I think my own Florida Link is a fluke. And if I lost it, I don't think I'd ever find another one like it. And that's kind of terrifying. And that's why I always take my mouthpiece in my hand luggage, even when my horn is flight cased in the hold. So, what's my final conclusion then? Well, honestly, I absolutely love playing the Lakshmi. It's free-blowing, it's responsive, the low end speaks easily, altissimo is great, it's flexible, it can be creative, and it can do almost anything. It's definitely one of the best mouthpieces I've ever played. In fact, I think I'd go as far as to say it's the second best mouthpiece I've ever played. And if something ever happens to my Florida, I will not hesitate in using a Lakshmi 8. But is the Lakshmi, for me, better than this one particular Florida Link? Man, I'm so sorry, Theo, but no. In my opinion, it just isn't. Mine still feels warmer, richer, and still has all the bite of the Lakshmi to boot. Believe me, I did not want that to be true when I did this experiment, but I've got to be true to my heart. However, what did you think? You know my sound. I'd love to know what you thought, so leave me a comment and make no mistake about it. I cannot recommend the Lakshmi enough. It's truly, truly awesome. It's an amazing, amazing mouthpiece. So I hope you enjoyed today's comparison of these big hitters of the classic jazz tenor mouthpiece line. It's been a fascinating experiment, and I hope it's been useful to you. If you haven't already checked it out, go and check out my free Saxophone Success Masterclass. The link is in the description. That will sort you out. It's a free masterclass, which is really going to improve your tone, how you practice, your improvising, the whole lot. It's really cool. And as I mentioned earlier, go and join the Inner Circle membership. There's a free trial. There's a whole hour and a half interview with Theo, which is the most amazing hour and a half on mouthpieces that you've ever heard. So go and use the link there to get your... And that's not all that's in the ICM. There's absolutely awesome amount of stuff in there to help your playing and to help you become a better saxophonist. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and practice hard, practice smart, and enjoy your music. Take it easy, guys.